So going from, the rumors and all that to the actual gameplay, let's talk a little bit about the guns. Which guns were you kind of like going towards? Which guns do you think were overpowered, if there are any of them? Let's talk about the gunplay in Valorant. Starting with Maelk.
I would say so. Firstly, I didn't use the ADS ability at all. The game just the weapons function perfectly fine without it. Like it's the same, if not better, honestly. I like the Bulldog for the financial aspect of it. At 2100, it came in pretty fine. It has a 3-tap that should put down anyone. But generally speaking, the AK, the name eludes me right now, the Vandal. The Vandal is, I think, by far the best weapon in the game. I wasn't too convinced that you even needed the Guardian, the Orb, just because of how good the Vandal really was, and that clicking heads seems, to some extent, fairly easy.
So, from my personal experience playing, the game essentially it takes the Counter-Strike mechanics and they take the edge off. So movement speed's a little bit slower. Spread is slightly more forgiving. If you're doing those cross-map shots trying to fight an op with your AK or your Vandal, you can now ADS, even though you get that rate of fire decrease. I would generally agree that the Vandal does seem really, really strong. But honestly, the one gun that was a big surprise to me was actually there's a 1000 SMG called the Stinger, which if you come around a corner and you pre-fire with it, as far as I know, it has the fastest rate of fire in the game. So if you come around a corner pre-firing, they have to one-tap you or they will always die. And then the second one is the pump shotgun, whose name I can't remember right now.
The Bucky.
Yes.
Oh, the Bucky.
I was going to mention it.
Yes, it is insane.
Yeah.
So the Bucky, a lot of people, I didn't realize this until about 8 hours in. The Bucky has a default left click. So you can think of it as just your normal pump shotgun. The left click is your normal pump, just like boom. The right click kind of acts as a right click from Roadhog if you've played Overwatch, where it shoots out like a dummy shell to 3 to 4 meters, and then it shoots the shotgun from there. And so when that happens, it essentially has this minimum range, like a sweet spot. And so if you're point blank next to somebody and you right click, you'll do no damage. But if they're like 3 or 4 meters away and you right click, it's a one shot. And so if someone finds those sweet spots and they know the angles, it is a disgusting gun. It is so.
Playing Viper and using for instance, the Viper Ultimate with Viper's Pit, and you run around with the Buggy, you can just get so many insta-kills. And strategically playing around that way and utilizing the fact that your opponent can't see you really added a different layer to the game.
No, I fully agree. I mean, I was told about the Bucky pretty early on by Mendo because he's in a Discord chat hanging out, and I was like, "Really? How good is it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's really good." And I tried it.
Yeah,
and
I was the one who told him about it, dude.
He told me, fair enough. And he gave me the whole like Roadhog, philosophy, and I was like, "That's kind of cool." And the first time I tried it, I was playing way too close to the wall. They walk in, I right click, and nothing happens. I'm like, the gun doesn't work. Like it's broken. And then they're like, no, wait, there's a sweet spot. You got to be a little bit further back, and then you'll get the kill. And I was like, oh, fair enough. And once you adjust to it, once you learn that sweet spot range, it's really, really strong. And then in my very last game I played, I came by the Odin, actually. And I don't know if I'm just like, I like having a lot of bullets, but the Odin had very tight spread. It had fairly good damage, and the ability to not have to reload pretty much ever. And my gunfights are quite extended because I don't hit the head that much. So I thought the Odin was perfect for me. You take it, you right click, you go brrr, and then they all die eventually, right? I had a lot of fun with that gun for sure, despite being very cost ineffective.
There is one more gun I like to bring up. It's so a lot of these guns in this game, there's like 3 or 4 really close together. So you have the clear, like, okay, you have a ton of money. You're just want to buy like the Op or the Vandal or the Phantom. And so the Vandal is what we're calling the AK, one-tap headshots. The Phantom is essentially shoots faster than the Vandal. It still has the one-tap headshot, but has fall-off damage. So you don't want to take mid or long-range engagements because you're just going to get one-tapped and you can't do it back. One of the interesting guns that you brought up is the Bulldog. And there's another, these are kind of what I would call like half eco rounds or like half buy. And so those at that price point are really interesting. One is the 1700 LMG. I don't remember its name. I think it was Ares.
It's Ares, yeah.
Interestingly enough, so a lot of things in Valorant can be wall banged. Like you can get shot through a lot of corners and a lot of walls. And so, interestingly enough, the 1700 LMG has high bullet penetration, but very unlike almost any other gun. The normal rifles you buy, they only have medium. And so, as far as I know, only the Sheriff, the snipers, and LMGs have high bullet penetration. And so that gun, even though it's an eco gun, 1700 LMG doesn't shoot that fast. It could have some really niche uses for wallbanging people.
Interesting.
Let me ask you on pistol round, what was your setup? Because I always did the Frenzy light armor, which is the equivalent of let's say Counter-Strike. It's the equivalent of Kevlar without a helmet and a C set, but with a larger ammo, base ammo. So it's just it's quite amazing having that ability. It's a mini SMG basically, and you have a armor kit as well instead of going for a deagle.
I use that same combo a lot. It depends a lot, I think, on the character you play. So if you're playing Sage, for example, her wall is significantly better in a pistol round because when the only guns people have are pistols, how do you shoot down the wall? It takes forever. And so I couldn't do the Frenzy armor as much on a character like Sage, but I could do it on a character like Phoenix. And it's very strong.
Certainly. I mean, I personally loved the Sheriff, just like, the whole like flare aspect of it all, getting like very satisfying one taps or playing the Ghost as well. I didn't have a whole lot of success on pistol rounds, but as you're mentioning, Seagull, buying things when you're playing Sage and pistol rounds, when you can get the wall to counteract like their weapon choice, so to speak, was very important to me. So I didn't do a whole lot of things when I was playing Sage, to be fair. I just bought the wall.
One of the interesting strats I saw was when I was with some alpha players. One of them would just drop. So like, let's say you wanted to get your abilities out and like you're a Sage, or maybe you're another character whose abilities are super useful. They will just drop each other the Sheriff or the Frenzy. So that way they can have armor plus Frenzy plus abilities, and they'll just be like the carry, like they're going in last. And it was really cool.
That's an interesting concept, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, like
we didn't try that.
Superman builds like that seems pretty good.
It's kind of a like glass cannon. Like if you go like all DPS, Cat 6 jungle in League of Legends, like you can kill a lot of people, you also die really fast, like so to speak. Although in this case, when you have armor and a good weapon, a little bit different, of course, but it's very all in, because if that person were to get taken down in a very unfortunate gunfighter scenario, a lot of your investment kind of goes to waste. You might not be able to pick up the gun because it's in a deep like environment, or you have no more armor on all the players, etc. But it can definitely have some upsides.